We've talked on the YouTube channel about true crime and this franchise, past, present, and what we could see at some point in the future. And I want to talk specifically, guys, about true crime as a remake, as a remaster, potentially a True Crime 3, which is what I would absolutely love to see. But with that being said, we're going to talk about those things, guys. Could we see a True Crime 3 or a True Crime remake, True Crime remaster? Let's talk about it. So, guys, coming to us in an article from the folks over at Game Rant, one of the many video games that have faded into obscurity is True Crime New York City, a title with a lot of heart but not enough support. Preservation and archiving have been a long-standing problem in the world of video games. Unlike most forms of art, video games are tied to tech gadgets that are regularly replaced every few years. As a result, each time a console is discontinued, there's a good chance that a portion of its library will be lost forever. This issue is further compounded by the fact that is not uncommon for development studios to shut down, making renewing licenses for IPs nearly impossible. One game that has unfortunately faced this fate is True Crime New York City. This is a title, guys, that released back in 2005. True Crime New York City is an open-world game that serves as a sequel to True Crime Street of LA. It is set in a fictionalized version of New York where players assume the role of Detective Marcus Reed, who goes on a quest to discover who killed his mentor and who may have infiltrated the New York Organized Crime Unit. Although the game was not received too well upon release for various reasons, the game is still one of the most exciting titles of the sixth generation of gaming. Unfortunately, modern gamers will have to jump through a lot of unnecessary hoops in order to get their hands on a copy. So first of all, guys, let's talk about True Crime. I've talked about True Crime on the YouTube channel before. You guys can check out all of that content here. But I think it's really important that we kind of preface this by saying, look, True Crime to me, guys, back when I first played this title, really both of these games, I really found that it was a simple, very similar to GTA. It kind of felt like that GTA style that over time it could very well have been like GTA, like Mafia, like in that same type of realm of video games. And I think it had some very interesting concepts. Did all of them land? Absolutely not, guys. But I think that this was a franchise that could have definitely continued into the future. Now, whether or not, guys, obviously there were problems behind the scenes, and we can also talk about the two major things that come to mind with True Crime. Obviously the things that can help a franchise or hurt a franchise is, of course, the reception as well as the sales. And those are things you have to look at when you look at the second game in the True Crime franchise. So True Crime Streets of LA is the first entry in True Crime franchise, laying down the blueprint which the rest of the series follows. Taking place in LA, the game centers on Officer Nicholas Kang, who attempts to uncover the conspiracy behind bombings that have taken place in Chinatown. With a vast world to explore, players can drive cars, engage in high-energy shootouts, or tend to the main missions which drive the plot forward. Most notably, the game also features branching storylines, which was quite a novel aspect for its time. The game performed well commercially and managed to ship over 3 million units in its lifetime, which is huge, guys. Now, when we got to New York City, this is where things get interesting. Unlike Streets of LA, True Crime New York City received a far colder reception. In addition to the technical glitches that occasionally pop up, the game also had to contend with the fact that open world games set in urban settings had become a dime a dozen. And with the release of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas just a year earlier, the game was largely ignored. Consequently, the game was a commercial failure, and the planned sequel to the game, which would have also featured Marcus Reed, again was canceled. So what did I say, guys? I mean, the two major things, we talk about this with gaming just in general. The two major things that really hurt or help a franchise is the reception and the sales. And New York City had both of those things going against it. For a number of reasons, guys, I think GTA actually really hurt the True Crime franchise as a whole. But what does that mean moving forward, guys? Because I think True Crime still has a place in gaming, and it should seriously be a part of the gaming ecosystem in some way, shape, or form. So while it may seem like the True Crime franchise died in 2005, this is not entirely true. Production on the third game, True Crime Hong Kong, began in 2008. Unfortunately, Activision decided to pull the plug on this project, but not all was lost. Square Enix bought the rights to the game, and United Front Games continued work on it. Through this, Sleeping Dogs was released. The game was very well received, with critics praising the open world design and combat in particular. So Sleeping Dogs, guys, obviously this is a title that I would love to see continuations of in some way, shape, or form. But I really think that they could have used the True Crime name, guys, to really take the franchise, further, and could have like even brought about more exposure to the title. But that being said, they decided to go in a direction of Sleeping Dogs. True Crime New York City is a unique game that provided an immersive imagining of New York, complete with all the grit and edginess one would expect. Allowing players to take the role of a police officer brought a novel perspective to typical open world gameplay and opened up moral choices for players to make. And so the game and its subsequent demise highlight how a convergence of unfortunate factors can result in good video games virtually disappearing, robbing modern gamers of the opportunity to experience a piece of video game history. While True Crime New York City may not be the gaming giant that GTA San Andreas is, it still brought its own atmosphere and gameplay that made its world one worth exploring. And I 100% agree with this, guys. I think that a really smart decision would be to remaster or remake True Crime. And here's why, guys. Obviously, this is a title that definitely did garner a good amount, a nice-sized fan base and such, even though a lot of people, when you were kind of pick and choosing between games back then, GTA was definitely one and has been to this day the bigger franchise without question. But True Crime definitely, similar to Mafia, kind of has that niche audience that I still think people would really enjoy. So to me, I really feel that they need to have a continuation of this, maybe not right away in the form of True Crime 3, but to really reintroduce True Crime in a remastered format or a remake format, and then eventually move into True Crime 3, because I think that could be something really special. The question though lies, guys, is at this point, is a True Crime 3 even in the cards right now? And I would say no, guys. It's something that I feel that if Square Enix still owns the rights to True Crime, they should certainly do a remaster or a remake at the very least to kind of see if that audience is still there. And if it is, then you can kind of build off of that. I think True Crime, they definitely started some really interesting concepts, some really cool concepts. The story was awesome. I would love to see it, continue in some way, shape, or form. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts about this in the comment section down below. Do you think that they're ever going to make a True Crime 3 or a True Crime remake, remaster? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And for more True Crime content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.